A very good morning, my dear students of class 8. Welcome to online classes. Today in biology, we'll be discussing chapter 2, Reproduction in Plants, part 1. And here we'll be discussing the topics, modes of reproduction in plants, and basically we'll be doing this asexual reproduction in plants. The topics which we are going to cover in this video is types of asexual reproduction, that is binary fission, budding, spore formation, and vegetative reproduction or propagation. So let us recap the things what we did in the previous class. First was reproduction. Reproduction is a process by which living organisms produce young ones of the same or similar kind. So in the living things, animals are there and plants are there. So for plants, the mode of reproduction is only two, that is asexual and sexual. Asexual, only one parent is involved. Sexual reproduction, both the parents are required. Both male and female gametes are required to fuse. Okay. So these are the various types of asexual mode of reproduction which we will be discussing in this class one by one. In the previous class, we already did this. Binary, lower organisms like bacteria, plants like algae, fungi, all these reproduce asexually by the following methods. Now here you can see binary fission, which we did in the previous class. Next one is budding, fragmentation, and spore formation. One more is there, but that is done in the higher plants, which is known as vegetative propagation. In short, what is vegetative propagation? In some higher plants, the vegetative parts of the plants like root, stem or leaf also help in producing new plants. If you see plants, there are two parts. One is the reproductive part, other one is vegetative part. And flower is the reproductive part of the plant, and rest all, whether you are talking about root, stem or leaf, all these are vegetative parts. So usually we know that seeds are there in the fruit, and through the seeds only the new plants germinates. Okay, but if the reproduction takes place through the root or the stem or the leaf, that is called vegetative propagation or vegetative reproduction. Binary fission, we did it in the previous class. Once again, we will be just going through it. Now here you can see a bacterial cell. So here you can see the nucleus. It is enlarged and then it divides into two daughter nuclei. Here you can see the wall is being formed, and this is called transverse septum. So it is completed here, and ultimately you get two daughter cells. So that is binary fission. If you remember, I told you binary means two and fission means splitting. That means splitting into two. When an organism divides or splits into two, we call it binary fission. Now in some organisms like Chlorella or Chlamydomonas, it doesn't divide into two, rather it divides into four. One cell divides into four daughter cells, and this is called multiple fissions. So when it is more than two, then we call it multiple fission. Otherwise it is binary fission, organism dividing into two. Once it divides in more than two, we call it multiple fission. Remember this. Next one is budding, and here the example is yeast. Yeast we use in baking the breads, in baking industry we use it. In some of the dishes here which we make, there also we use yeast. So you are familiar with yeast. This method is common in yeast. Here the parent cell produces an outgrowth called a bud. So here you can see this is yeast, and here you will see the bud. Now this bud grows, and here you can see the nucleus is being divided. Here the nucleus has already divided, and ultimately you get chain of buds, and then you get the daughter yeast. So one divides into 2, 3 and so on. The bud grows and then gets detached. So no more it is with the parent body, it is detached from the parent body and lead an independent life. Okay. Now here you can see clearly this is yeast. This is the nucleus, this vacuole, and some cell contents are there which we cannot see. Nucleus grows, and then here you can see the bud. Nucleus divides into 2, and then here you can see the chain of buds. We call them daughter buds. After some time, when they grow, when they become mature, they detach themselves from the parent body and lead independent life. So that was all about budding. The third one is fragmentation. One organism divides into pieces, parts, and all these parts, the pieces are called fragments. The best example for this is Spirogyra. So if you have not seen Spirogyra, this is Spirogyra. It's a ribbon-like structure. Fragmentation, organisms like Spirogyra, which are made up of long ribbon-like filaments. You can see ribbon-like filaments. The filament grows and breaks into 2 or more parts. So one breaks into 2 or more parts called the fragment. Each part is called the fragment. So here you can see this is the filamentous structure of Spirogyra, and here you can see the 3 partitions of Spirogyra, and each part is called the fragment, and so this process is called fragmentation. One divides into 2, 3, 4 and so on. Now you see this one earlier it was this small. Now again it grows into a mature Spirogyra, the second one also, and third filament also. So same way each fragment regrows into an individual. So that's how you can see how one organism changes into 3, develops into 3. Next one is spore formation. When we are talking about spore formation, for this the example is fern. All of you must have seen ferns. In Sikkim we have got plenty of ferns. Those who don't know, in the flower bouquet and all, we keep it at the back as background, the green ones. Anyway, I will show you if you have not seen what are ferns. These are the ferns everywhere. On both the sides of the roads you will be getting this ferns. So let us talk about this spore formation. It is common in plants like mosses and ferns. We call them ferns. These are ornamental plants. People keep them in the flower pots also and keep them inside the house. They bear spores on the underside of the leaves. So have you ever seen the lower surface of this ferns? You will find something like this. Have you seen this? The brown or black spots on the underside of the fern leaves. If you have not seen, today you can check in your locality. Okay? So on the underside of the leaves you will find the spores. These are light and can be carried away easily by the wind or other pollinators such as insects to different places. So pollination can take place of these spores. They can go to various places. not pollination, the dispersal. On reaching suitable conditions, each spore germinates into a new fern. Okay. So this is spore formation in the mosses and ferns. Now the fifth one, vegetative propagation or vegetative reproduction. As I told you, this happens in the higher plants when the vegetative parts of the plant take part in reproduction. When new plants are produced by the vegetative parts, I told you there are two parts, reproductive as well as vegetative. Flower is the reproductive part of the plant and stem, root, leaves, all these are vegetative parts. Such as leaf, stem and root of a plant, they are called propagules. And it is this process called vegetative reproduction. Vegetative reproduction is grouped into the following two types. So, in two ways vegetative reproduction can take place. The first is natural vegetative propagation. If it is done naturally, the parts of root or parts of leaf or parts of the stem grows into a new plant. This is called natural vegetative propagation. And suppose if the human beings are involved here, they are doing it, it is called artificial vegetative propagation. Okay. Now here you can see how through the leaves, roots and stems vegetative propagation takes place. So in the next class we will be discussing about the natural methods of vegetative propagation. So till then, stay home, stay safe and have a great day. Remember, unnecessarily don't go out. Don't attend the gatherings. If you happen to be to some place where people are more, use your mask and maintain social distancing. Bye.